All right, Loki season 2, episode 5, titled Science/Fiction.
Science/fiction. This is our spoiler discussion. So if you haven't seen it, don't listen to this because we're going to be spoiling things. Everything's turning into spaghetti, Holden.
Everything's turning into spaghetti. Follow up to the quite excellent and surprising last episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a pretty good episode still.
Yeah. It's not as like twist and turn and like entertaining, but like it's very creative and it's fun to kind of piece things together as Loki. I think you bring in a lot of the themes of earlier and like, well, what is the right thing to do in this situation? And who's right and who's wrong? Do we really need the TVA? Brings up a lot of those existential questions for the characters in this show in a way that I think is fairly compelling and just highly original. Once again, it's like here we have this decade and a half long MCU, and Loki is somehow providing fresh ideas and intriguing plot lines to follow. So good on them for that.
Yeah, so the episode kind of opens up with him. He wakes up and just everyone's gone at the TVA.
Yeah.
And he's time slipping again.
Which
I liked the little bit at the beginning where he sees himself slightly in the future. I liked that. But yeah, he's time slipping. And he starts slipping to various his like friends on the timeline.
I loved how I think his name is Casey was like one of the prisoners of Alcatraz. I said Azkaban.
Yeah, he's like a real person too. It was like a group of people that like escaped.
That was because we watched Escape from Alcatraz, which I think is a Clint Eastwood movie.
Okay,
that might be wrong. I'm gonna look that up really quick. But it's like so as soon as like they showed, because I was watching this on the elliptical and they showed like the thing and like the mask part and then him under the bed. I'm like, wait, did I miss something? Like, but then he like went over to the grate and pulled it off. I'm like, oh, this is Alcatraz. This is Escape from Alcatraz because this is like what happens. And they never found the people either. So I think that's like a really nice touch that. It's just like him just like being taken out.
It also kind of connects back to the moment from season 1 where it's revealed Loki is DB Cooper.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Another person who's just disappeared off the face of the earth and no one knows what happens.
Clint Eastwood, Escape from Alcatraz.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And the other two people escaping with him are the directors.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's a nice touch as well. So. But yeah, there's obviously little history nerds like myself putting the little Easter eggs in there for us. So I thought that was a fun little touch. We finally get the payoff of Mobius interacting with jet skis in some fashion, at least.
He's a jet ski seller on the timeline.
What does he call them? Water recreation vehicle? Personal watercraft or something?
Something like that.
Oh, yeah. Ever get out in the water, like swimming? Yeah, or like on a personal watercraft. It's like, if you live along a river, it's a great way to commute or, just reset. You can go out on a pond.
Yeah, he's great. It's exactly what Mobius would be doing on the timeline, I think. He's very funny. Single dad Mobius. Yeah, and I thought it was great. And then Loki comes in and asks to buy an ATV.
B15 is the lady's name. She's like a nurse or a doctor.
Yeah,
looks like.
Which she's like, she's tending someone that's injured in New York City in 2012. I'm like the Battle of New York, but it's just a kid who fell out of a tree.
Yeah,
which I think is kind of funny.
I was kept waiting for that. Which. Yeah, and it's Loki too. So it's like, that's weird that they didn't, was it just like a joke that it was like, okay.
Yeah.
That we didn't play into
that.
OB is trying to buy his own books from like a bookstore. Oh, it's not coming out. Oh, I can just pay in cash or whatever. Quit putting your books on the shelf.
He's so good in this episode.
He's great.
He's great in every episode he's been in, but he's very funny here as just this failed science fiction writer.
Makes the temp pad. His wife leaves him.
Yeah,
he loses his job.
I can't remember how many months he said.
19. He's like 18 months. Well, 19 because I had to take a break because I lost my job and my wife left me. I'm like, you can't just send this guy back to his timeline. No, he's got to come to the TVA. He's got nothing left.
Poor guy.
He's like, yeah, I have to work, as a professor at this prestigious university teaching this incredible science class to justify my writing career.
Yeah, he's talking about how his degree is like a crutch.
Yeah.
For his writing
I'm a
career.
scientist. I'm just an incredibly good scientist, but I just want to write bad books that nobody wants to read. Oh, you haven't read it? It's only my best-selling book.
And
Let me see if I can
like
find
that.
the copy.
Yeah,
They're just
I'll see if I
all
can
over.
find the
Oh, look,
copy.
I found one. It's your lucky day.
He's so
Kwan
good.
has such a charm to him.
He does.
He's nailing the character OB.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's hard to imagine anybody else in that role. I don't think anybody
Absolutely.
could pull it off as well.
No.
But it was kind of fun. There was definitely like an end game vibe to this of going to all these timelines and kind of pulling things
Yeah.
out and coming back together and having this plan of like, okay, we need to, instead of the Infinity Stones, we got to go and grab the people and get all the pens in the cup.
Yeah.
And I like how, there's that conversation with Sylvie of like, why are you doing this? You don't care about the TVA. It's not about that at all. You had like a purpose and friends and like actually a sense of community, and you felt the sense of belonging in the TVA that you've never experienced before. And that's what you care about. Not the sacred timeline, not all these other things. You just kind of rationalize that in your head.
It's kind of a great moment to kind of stop and look back at his character development over the course of the MCU, right? Because early on in the first Avengers movie where he just doesn't care about humans at all. He's just like killing them in cold blood and he's always talking about his like glorious purpose and everything. That's like kind of one of his catchphrases in his early appearances. And now he's found that purpose and actually cares about humans now.
Yeah.
It's been a very logical journey, I think. It's kind of cool to look at too.
Yeah.
So.
A lot of hair flips this episode.
Really?
From Tom Hiddleston. Yeah, whenever he like time warp, he's like, I guess
I guess that is
and he
true.
Like,
he kind of
do his hair, and he's like, the flow was really working for Tom Hiddleston. If you ever rewatch this episode, like every time it's like, okay, Sylvie, we got to figure this out. And he's like fixing his hair, his luscious black locks that he
cares
has.
about his hair.
Yeah.
He's still narcissistic at heart. He cares about his looks.
Yeah. But I thought that was a good moment. Obviously, you have Sylvie going into the record store and feeling sad and playing the record, and that poor guy gets spaghetti noodled.
Yeah, that's a great sequence. Her listening to the Velvet Underground song and
Sweet Nothing.
Yeah, Sweet Nothing or something like that. It was a good song. Worked really well for the scene too, and just watching it slowly unravel around her.
You're just like. She's like, God dang it. I have to go back to the frickin' TVA and Loki and all this crap I don't want to deal with. I just want to work at McDonald's.
She literally waited until the last second to do it.
And like, there's just the resignation on her face when she just pulls up the Tempad yellow cube.
Yeah.
To walk
portal
through.
thing.
Amber portal cube rectangle prism.
Yeah. So she joined them, and then everyone started dying.
Everybody gets noodled, and which is a very like Infinity War esque thing too.
I guess before that, Loki's like, all right, like this is really selfish of me to do. Like everyone seems very happy on their or like content on their timeline. I'm pulling everyone out, and you guys should go back. Everyone's like, well, you're uprooted our lives. Like at this point, like but yeah, then everyone's. Yeah, spaghetti noodles.
What did happen to the Tempad? Because they're like that one. They just thought that Casey stole it. And he's like, nah, I didn't. And they don't think they ever really figured it out. But it's gone, and so they all start getting noodled. And then Loki figures out how to time warp what is it called?
Time slip.
Time slip. And which was a cool kind of wordplay. It's like, it's not about when and where, it's about who or whatever. It's when, where, why, it's who.
Yeah.
It's all about people and relationships, Holden.
Yeah, because he keeps time slipping. And I guess it also connects to beginning of the season too. When he's time slipping, he's only time slipping like around people that he's like connected to. Because in like the first season, he like time slips to the future with Sylvie and everything and all of that. So That's very interesting. From what he talks about how he's going to rewrite it. From what I understand, Loki in the comics he becomes like, I don't know if this is the right term, but like god of stories or something at some point. Huh. So I wonder if they're tying that into this. And I think that's maybe like a more recent comic development, but yeah.
No, I thought it was a very compelling episode that I think is thematically resonant with the kind of come to Jesus moment for Loki, where he realizes what his true motivations are. You have Sylvie kind of having to reconcile that she needs to help Loki fix this in order to kind of get that life she wants. And I feel bad for her because, Loki gets what he wants, but, through this thing that's necessary, but Sylvie doesn't get what she wants, at least in the meantime, in the moment.
I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up happy on the timeline at the end, but they're back to before the loom broke down.
Yeah. And they're going to go fix it.
Yeah. And I think it's unclear if it's just Loki. It's probably just Loki that goes back. Yeah. So he's back with the knowledge, and everyone else is just kind of where they were. So.
Yes, but now what's going to happen? We got Ravonna Renslayer. We got Miss Minutes, who are just gone from this episode. You would think that they would tie up those loose ends here.
Yeah, I would.
Unless it's just a Ahsoka thing where it's just you have two characters built up the whole season and they just don't do anything the last episode.
I'm guessing because my guess is. I guess it's not very clear by the one shot we get. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm guessing that he goes back to like essentially where episode 4 starts, kind of. That would be my guess, but yeah, we'll see.
All right. I thought very solid episode. Can't wait for the season finale next week. Any other closing thoughts, Holden?
I don't think so, no.
All right.